They say every neighborhood's got that one person, the one who somehow manages to be both everywhere and nowhere at once, poking around your yard like they're casing the place, smiling like they're auditioning for a toothpaste commercial, and always armed with some printed code of conduct nobody ever agreed to. You know the type. For me, that person was Karen Travers. I should have known from the second she strutted onto my property, clipboard in hand, eyes scanning every inch like she was inspecting a rental car, that things were about to get complicated. The day she waltzed in, the air smelled like trouble and overcooked burgers, and by the time the barbecue smoke cleared, my yard looked like it had hosted a minor apocalypse. You ever have one of those moments where you realize you're not just living next to a problem, you're living inside its blast radius? Yeah, that happened. I've never been the confrontational type. I make my living sorting out IT headaches for people too rich or too old to reset their routers, and I prize my peace and my privacy. Clean code, quiet weekends, nobody dropping by unannounced. So when I bought those 5 wooded acres just outside Boulder, it was for the space, the stillness, the knowledge that nobody was going to roll up and tell me my mailbox needed to be 3 inches to the left to match the neighbor's hydrangeas. I live in this sleek little house on the edge of Clear Pine Ridge, a place where every yard is identical and the HOA's got more rules than Congress, but my deed's older than their bylaws. I'm the outsider, the anomaly, the guy they wish would just get with the program. Karen, though, she thinks she runs the program. The first time she showed up, she came bearing iced-over pleasantries and pamphlets in pastel blues, talking about community harmony and shared values, like she was trying to sell me a timeshare in Stepford. I was polite, told her I liked handling things my own way, but she didn't take no for an answer. Every Saturday, like clockwork, there she'd be. New argument, new pitch, always with that smile that never touched her eyes. Then she started taking photos around my property, claimed she was just admiring my unconventional landscaping. Sure, Karen, just window shopping for the next complaint, you know what I mean? It all came to a head one Thursday when she crept up behind me with yet another HOA invite, and I finally had to say it. Karen, stop coming onto my land. This is my home, not a public park. That was the last time she spoke to me, but it wasn't the last time she acted. That night, my cameras caught her pacing the tree line, holding a tablet, standing just out of reach. Next morning, one of my solar lights was smashed to bits. That's when I realized this was more than a turf dispute. This was personal. So I did what any sane person does when their sanctuary's under siege. I got out of Dodge. Me and my daughter, Zoe, hit the road for a cabin in Utah, just a weekend of marshmallows and no Wi-Fi. I double-checked every sensor, every lock, every alarm. Even the old side gate, the one with the manual override, which I meant to bolt but didn't. Big mistake. As we drove away, I caught a glimpse of Karen on her porch, pruning a bonsai like it owed her money. Zoe asked if she was the one who kept handing me mail. Something like that, I said, not wanting to explain the politics of neighborly warfare to a 12-year-old. While I was gone, things escalated in ways I never could have predicted. Karen, dressed in what can only be described as passive-aggressive brunch couture, broke into my yard, this time with an accomplice, a woman I barely recognized from some block party. They spent nearly half an hour snooping, snapping photos, pointing at my koi pond and gazebo like they were picking out furniture for an open house. The next day, Karen sent out digital invites to the whole HOA, barbecue bash on shared grounds, she called it, slapping my name on a forged agreement and inviting 80 of her closest friends for a community celebration. The RSVP list read like a wedding guest roster. People offered to bring tables, games, even a sound system. Karen, ever the ringmaster, hyped it up in the group chat, posting selfies from my backyard like it was her personal event space. By the time Saturday hit, the place was swarming. Fold-out tables, bounce castle, a taco truck, somebody even hauled in a portable bar. My gate, left unbolted, was thrown open, ribbon like the entrance to a county fair. There were more strangers on my lawn than there had been in my entire time living there. Kids trampled flower beds I'd spent months coaxing out of the dirt. Some teenager flung a half-eaten burger into the koi pond. Adults crammed the gazebo and barbecue island, blasting music through speakers plugged into my shed after they pried off the lock. At one point, a man in a Grill Daddy shirt slipped on the patio and tried to sue the lawn furniture for assault. Karen, clipboard in hand, played hostess, giving speeches about embracing community into the PA system, acting like she was the benevolent queen of the cul-de-sac. And then came the twist. A guest, an older guy with Bluetooth earpiece, rummaged through my shed, found my chainsaw, and tried to cut down a dangerous branch, gumming up the blade and leaving it next to a pile of mulch. My drone, meant for security, got battered with a lacrosse stick. Someone started a fire on the barbecue and put it out with water from the koi pond. It wasn't just disrespect, it was vandalism under the guise of fellowship. The cops showed up, but Karen met them with her forged lease and a speech about shared use, and they shrugged it off as a private party. By the end of the night, my property looked like a landfill after homecoming. I returned Sunday night, Zoe asleep in the truck, and pulled into chaos. Trash everywhere, patio wrecked, tools missing, koi pond filled with debris, the gazebo scorched. I walked through the ruins in disbelief, checking my security feeds. Nothing. Karen had disabled the cameras and the drone. It was all there in the cloud backup, though. Karen's speeches, the party, the trespassing. I snapped photos of everything, called the police, and this time, the new officers took it seriously. USB drives, witness statements, damage estimates. They said Karen could be charged with everything from trespassing to fraud. But Karen didn't back down. The very next week, she filed a civil suit against me. She claimed I'd breached some made-up agreement, traumatized her guests, and caused damage to HOA property. She wanted $25,000 and a public apology. She even attached the same forged lease as evidence, Comic Sans font and all. My lawyer just shook his head. She was trying to beat me to the punch, paint herself as the victim, drag this circus into the press before the real story could surface. That's when the community twist hit. A couple who'd attended the party reached out, horrified by what they'd seen and heard. They had overheard Karen admit I knew nothing about the event, even recorded her saying it was time to teach me a lesson. Then another guest, a guy named Devin Lang, dropped the bomb. A 15-minute live stream of the whole party, Karen joking about me, building robot girlfriends, while guests trash my yard, and at minute 13, her laughing. Let's see Morrison try to sue. The HOA covers my ass. Game, set, match. We filed a counter-suit. Criminal trespassing, fraud, property destruction, defamation, even conspiracy to commit identity theft. The story flipped overnight. The local press that smeared me now ran headlines about HOA corruption. Board members began resigning. And suddenly neighbors who'd been silent started sharing stories about Karen's bullying, her threats, her rule-by-paperwork regime. Charles, the HOA president, came to my door, exhausted and apologetic. He admitted Karen had been running her own show for years, twisting policies, weaponizing documents, bullying people into compliance. He handed over emails, board votes, logs, enough evidence to show this wasn't a one-off, it was a pattern. The district attorney's office opened a criminal investigation. Karen was arrested, not in secret but in full daylight, news cameras rolling as she was led away in her powder blue pantsuit, still refusing to look anyone in the eye. The trial was brutal, months of hearings, experts tearing apart her forged documents, video after video played for the court. Witnesses lined up to testify, neighbors, guests, even the teenage landscaper she'd tried to bribe. Karen's defense was a mess. Claims of miscommunication, psychological stress, clerical error. The judge wasn't buying it. The verdict, guilty on nearly every count. 18 months in county jail, 3 years probation, $147,000 in restitution, lifetime ban from holding any HOA position. The civil suit ended with a payout from the HOA insurance fund. Every penny went into restoring my home, my garden, my peace. Today, my yard is pristine again, new cameras everywhere, a reinforced gate, and a sign that says, private land. Trespass once, jail twice. People laugh, but nobody tests it. The new HOA board keeps to themselves. Charles waves when he drives by. And for the first time in years, there's quiet. I heard Karen move to Arizona. Maybe somewhere she can't run an HOA, or maybe just biding her time. I don't think about her much anymore, except when I remember what it felt like to come home to a war zone, to stand up and fight not just for my land, but for the right to be left alone. And that's the thing, right? Sometimes you don't choose the fight. Sometimes the fight chooses you. But when it does, you find out what kind of neighbor you really are. The kind who backs down, or the kind who stands his ground and wins, not by breaking the rules, but by making sure everyone finally sees them for what they really are. You ever had your own Karen? You ever fought the HOA and won, or lost? Drop your stories in the comments. Tell me what justice looks like to you. And let's talk about where the line really is between community and control.